Brian Kennedy. Been a police officer in Auburn for 24 years. The last 5 years I've been the school resource officer. And part of my duties is to deal with bullying incidents within the schools, not just here, the elementary schools, the high school. What exactly is bullying? It's name calling, it's knocking somebody's books out of their hands in the hallway, it could be physical, fights, it could be anything on the internet, whether it's cyberbullying. All these things are part of the culture of bullying. And it's been around since I was a kid. And now it's kind of worse because of the technology that we have. And with all the awareness that we have, there's bully plans in place at all the schools, there's all different activities, everybody knows about bullying. Yet why are we constantly still reading about kids hurting themselves to the point where they're not here anymore? Why do we still have that? How can we stop it? How do we change this culture of bullying? And I thought about it, and I thought, it stops right here. It stops with the kids in this school. Every one of the students in this school can stand up and change this culture. And it would be a trickle-down effect. If the kids here stood up to the culture of bullying, the younger kids coming up from Packagug and Julia Bancroft would see it, and they would then take your lead, and you could take that change onto the high school. And we could combat it that way. It takes courage. It would take a lot of courage to be able to do that. Why does it take courage? Because studies show that most of the aggressors or the bullies are the popular kids. They're athletic, they're smart, they have lots of friends. So the targets or the victims of bullies, they remain silent. And they remain silent because they think that nobody's going to believe them over the popular kid. And nothing ever gets done. They don't get the help that they need. And that silence then turns into insecurity. Then that target doesn't want to go to school anymore. Failing grades, low self-esteem develops to the point where, if without any help from anyone, that can plunge that person into a depression where they develop health problems. And with those health problems might come drug and alcohol abuse, leading up to suicidal thoughts. Now there's two kids that if you plug in anything on bullying on the internet, there's going to be, I was amazed at the amount of children that have taken their own lives because of bullying. But there are two that stood out to me. One was from South Hadley, Mass, Phoebe Prince. The other was Amanda Todd. Let's talk about them just for a minute. They were both 15 years old. Phoebe Prince moved over to the United States from Ireland, and she was in her freshman year, and she made a mistake. Believe it or not, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but her mistake was she dated a popular senior football player. Imagine that being a mistake. Because she was a cute kid. If you see any pictures of her, I wish I had pictures of her, but I'm not technologically savvy anymore, or at all. And so imagine there's a picture of her there. But she went through months of just name calling, and in the hallways, people would knock the books out of her hands. They would throw things at her in the hallways. Kids would see her walking home from school, and they would throw things at her from moving cars. And it was just relentless harassment. Amanda Todd, she's most famous for that 9-minute silent video of the flashcards and describing exactly what happened to her. Now, she too was 15 years old, a freshman, and the mistake that she made was she engaged in some inappropriate behavior online, and a picture surfaced, and it was sent to all of her friends. And with that came a lot of name calling, a lot of harassment, and then it kind of went by the wayside. And then 1 year later, she dated a boy who had a girlfriend. And what happened from there was the harassment began again, the name calling, and it escalated into a physical confrontation where a group of girls beat her up and left her in a ditch. And she laid in that ditch. Now, imagine, 15 years old, just laying there. And she was just hoping everything would end. And she lay there until her father found her. Think about it. You girls are all 13, 14 years old. And you're going to be 15 soon. Put yourself in her shoes. How would that feel? Whenever I see stories like that, I always put myself in the shoes of the dad. And I can't even imagine what that father was going through. Because there was nothing he could do to help her. It was at the point where she was at the point of no return. The similarities with the two girls was they had nowhere to hide. There were no safe places for them. When I was growing up, when your parents were growing up, if there was name calling or bullying or harassment going on in school, our safe place was at home. We could get away from it. But the world we live in today doesn't allow that. The torment, the harassment followed them home with cyberbullying. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, just texting. All of these things followed these two kids home to the point where they couldn't take it anymore, and at 15 years old, they took their own lives. They're no longer with us. And for what? For dating the wrong kid? For making a mistake in judgment online? No 15-year-old should have to go through that. No 15-year-old should have to go through it. So how do we change this? How do we change this? I think it's just going to take one kid to stand up and be the person to help that target out. And what's going to happen is, like I said, it's a trickle-down effect. If somebody sees one person standing up, then there's going to be two. Then there's going to be three. But all it's going to take is one courageous person to stand up to that bully. And what that person will be doing will not only be getting that kid's life back, but you'll be getting your school back. Because that kid is no longer going to rule the hallways of the school. Amanda Todd, in her videos, when she was going through the flashcards, one of the very last flashcards it simply said, "I have nobody, I need someone." Imagine this. You are, say it's like 20 years down the road, and you're at your high school graduation. I mean, high school reunion. You're at a high school reunion, and you're talking with all your classmates and you're reminiscing. And somebody comes out of the crowd and just comes up to you and hugs you and says, thank you. You go, oh, what's that for? Thank you for what? Thank you for making a difference in my life. You stood up for me when nobody else would. Wouldn't that be a great feeling? Be that someone that these kids need, and be the change, and we can change this culture of bullying. Thank you.